primary education at Chinchimani Primary School, as well as Namiyundu Primary School. Now you would see Namiyundu Primary School mostly when you go to school. I can tell you I did my primary school barefooting. Woke up in the morning and went to school. And several times, especially during the flood times, it was normal when it's June to basically pull through the waters in the quest for education. Now, having very limited experience, I thought everyone else in the world lives such a life. I was actually shocked when I arrived in Windhoek that there are kids that are picked up in the morning and they are dropped to school every day. I was shocked when I arrived at UNAM that when my classmates were turning their 21st birthdays, their mothers and fathers were coming on campus to celebrate with them. I had not experienced the celebration of a birthday. It was not part of my childhood. I never knew that birthdays are celebrated. I was just busy heading cattle and goats and looking after the family. These were realities of my background, and this is the truth, and it will remain as such as long as I live. Now, the minister is very close to my heart because at the time we were privileged as young people entering the University of Namibia. Of course, dreamed about the future. She worked as a dean of students. I took up a bus, arrived at UNAM, and I targeted the day of registration because I was not sure. At the time, to get accommodation in Windhoek, you needed to do serious calculations. When you come from a disadvantaged family, not everyone else wishes to keep you in his house. That's the reality of life. So I arrived in Windhoek and I arrived 4 o'clock in the morning because I didn't have really anywhere to go. I had to wait for the registration to start the following day. Now you can't leave 2 days in advance. You need to leave 3 o'clock here to make sure that the following day in the morning you are basically busy with registrations. So the academic path is not always an easy one. It's always very challenging. So I'm humbled this morning that I'm addressing this crowd in the presence of our minister, who has been very instrumental in most of us during our shaping years at the University of Namibia. I remember by the time I was finalizing with her young brother, who was my roommate, Sam, at the university, I had become the SRC president. So thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for your contribution, not only to me, but to many other young people in this country that come from disadvantaged families. I'm very sure that when you were giving us those opportunities, you knew and you saw endless possibilities, that possibilities of becoming MITCO CEOs were possible, regardless of our background. So I think, dear graduates, the message here is you are who you give yourself the power to be. You are the champion of your own future. No one else determines your future, and your background should never determine how far you can go. The sky is not the limit, but rather the beginning. So thank you so much to our Honourable Minister. Allow me to acknowledge the presence of a very distinguished person, the Vice Chancellor of our university, Professor Kenneth Matengu. He keeps on inspiring most of us that age is not a limit. You can achieve extraordinary things even if you are younger. Thank you so much to our Vice Chancellor of the university, and thank you so much for the invitation. Allow me to acknowledge the presence of academicians that are here, in particular the Honorable Governor who is present of the Zambezi region. Thank you so much, Honorable Governor, for your leadership, as well as Mr. Ricardo, the Mayor of our town council, and thank you for the support you are doing to our region. Allow me as well, most importantly, to acknowledge the parents that are sitting here. It's not easy to raise a child and pull through a university. It takes a lot. But most importantly, allow me to also appreciate parents that did not make it here. Because not everyone who is here was behind you. Some of you, I know that you are here and you must have struggled to even grasp a parent, and maybe you came with a friend to represent you because of the realities of challenges we are facing. But also allow me to acknowledge, most importantly, family members that might have left you, the deceased, that must have been instrumental in making sure that you arrive on this day. Because once you become a graduate, your life will never be the same. So this is your day. So allow me to congratulate officially the class of 2024. Congratulations, and I would want to request the audience to give them a big pump up. Now, dear graduates, you remind me of 20 years ago when I got my first degree in agriculture. I would furthermore do my second degree, did my BSc in Agric, did my bachelor's degree in communications at NAST. I would leave the country to the University of Stellenbosch, where I did my honors in public policy, and later on, conscious about my background and the allegiance to poverty, I continued with my postgraduate studies, where I pursued a master's degree at the University of Witwatersrand, a master's degree in governance and public leadership. I hold a second master's degree in corporate strategy that I obtained with the University of Pretoria. Now, as Nyerere would put it, learning does not have the beginning and the end. What you are obtaining today, let it not be the end, but the beginning of more and greater achievements ahead of you. Education, no doubt about it, remains the greatest equalizer. Only through education that you can find yourself on the highest tables of policymakings in any nation. President Mandela would put it much more better, with much more greater authority, when he says, it's only through education that any nation can alleviate poverty. Only through education that a son of a mine worker one day can become the head of the mine. A son of a farm worker can become a medical doctor or a pilot. And a son of a slave can become a leader of a great nation. He continues, it's not what you are given, but what you do with what you are given that separates you from the rest of the world. So the attainment and receiving the academic qualifications you are getting today should not be viewed at the end on its own. As young people, as the youth, we have got a huge responsibility ahead of us. And we want you, as knowledgeable people, as experienced people, to make sure that you join the team of people in this country that are making a difference every day. It's critical that as you graduate, you begin to see yourself more than obtaining qualification. But it's critical to have a purpose, to aspire to leave a legacy in life, to make sure that you always remain diligent, you remain respectful, you remain committed, you remain patriotic to the country. It's always very, very important to make sure that hard work and working smart, especially in a highly dynamic world we operate in today. You need to make sure that you are very agile, you are very flexible, and at all times you remain firm and you remain courageous. It's not easy out there, especially when you want to be the change that you want to see. One of the reasons why I had to go and pursue agricultural studies as a child was because as I was growing up, I was meant to understand that the northern of the communal area, who are in livestock production, they will never in their lifetime sell their beef to the rest of the country, neither to the rest of Africa and the rest of the world. Now, as a passionate agricultural student, I needed to understand why is it so? And as soon as I reported to MITCO, the first thing I needed to do was to challenge that status quo. I can report to you now that as we speak, beef from either Ohangwena, Oshana, Kavango, Zambezi, through what we call commodity-based trade, it is being consumed in the rest of the country. I can report to you now that beef from the northern of the communal area is being consumed in African countries. Ghanaians are eating beef from the Oshana region, from the Kavango region, from the Zambezi region, for dinner and for their events, something which was impossible. But it took education to understand science and argue on tables and put up a point that beef from this part of the country is safe for consumption and the rest of the world can consume it. We just finalized our discussions to make sure that we send our first container to the Middle East. So it's the power of education. You can't be a nurse unless if you have gone to school. You cannot be a medical doctor unless if you have gone to school. You cannot transform the economic architecture of any nation unless if you have got an enlightened, empowered society. We have seen that with Singapore. So you are joining a class of public servants and servants in the private sector and in the non-state actors that are committed in driving Namibia to economic prosperity. Key greatest challenges, in case you have not yet discovered your purpose, facing this country and the rest of Africa. Number one is poverty. So you need to make sure that you become the change the country needs to see, so that you become instrumental through the qualifications you are getting today to make sure that you are able to alleviate poverty. Number two, inequality. The gap between the have and the have-nots remain unhygienic, especially in our country. It requires graduates, so there are endless possibilities. Do not be misled that there are no possibilities out there. There are no possibilities for people that are looking for opportunities, but they are opportunities for people who are opportunity creators. So I want you to enter the world as of today, knowing that you are entering the world to go and become creators of opportunities. Yes, when you begin your career, it's normal for you to go and look for a job, but ultimately, we promote people to become entrepreneurs. You don't want to be a servant for the rest of your life. You want to experience economic independence by making sure that you look after yourself. So very important in this process is attitude. Nigerians, they say, your attitude determines your altitude. So, in copulating the qualifications you are receiving, without the right attitude, you have difficulties to navigate the world. Very, very difficult. But if you are morally upright, you are very ethical, with the right attitude, I can tell you now, you will be able to go very far. As Johnny Tivane would put it, intelligence can take you to the top. But what determines how long you stay there is character. So character is the supreme. It's a non-negotiable virtue in you achieving your dreams and becoming better. So you need to make sure that as you celebrate your academic achievement, attitude, those soft virtues becomes very critical. And no one else but yourself can make a tomorrow to make sure that's better. So join us and everybody else in the country who is committed in alleviating poverty, inequality, and unemployment. Those are the three triplet challenges we are facing. Those who came before us, who liberated the country, they have shown us evidently that these challenges can be faced. America did it, Europe did it. Singapore, a very poor country from 1965. If you'd read a book by Lee Kuan Yew, founding father of that country, they managed to transform their economy. It was because of young people. History tells us that it was young people anywhere else in the world who transformed economies. When Reverend Martin Luther King challenged the civil rights movement in the US, he was a young man, 25 years old, 24 years old. It was young people in this country and in the rest of Africa who have proven to transform the economies. So it is you, young people, young graduates that are knowledgeable, that should make sure that you take it up from here and you are able to move the country forward. Frantz Fanon, in his book, Wretched of the Earth, argues, chapter 4, the subchapter is Pitfalls of a Nation. If you haven't read this book, you need to read it. He writes in that book, each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its own mission, fulfill it, or betray it. So we have a choice to make as young people, whether the current agenda we are driving, that of economic emancipation, we're going to fulfill it or we're going to betray it. Now, we have got no choice. This is something that as a country we should be able to fulfill. So there are better days ahead of us. Namibia is a very beautiful country. I want you to join the country looking for jobs, and as you find your space, knowing that those who came before us, they have set very strong institutions that have proven to be functional all over the world. And we should make sure that we join this cohort of Namibians, that we make Namibia better, because it's the only home that we have. So congratulations. I'm very much aware you have had sleepless nights. Arriving here was not easy. It was difficult. In most times, you did not have money, you did not have finance. It's normal. Challenge or failure is the mother of success. So it's not every time and then that you'll be able to make it when you go for an interview. I have a friend who have gone for interview 20 times, and I keep on telling her that you need to continue because Michael Jordan lost many goals before he himself became a legend. So no one gets it right at the first time. It's always a challenge. So I wish you all the best. We are very much proud of you, and we're looking forward wholeheartedly to receive you in the country and all over the world. This is your day. Congratulations to you. We are proud of you. You have achieved it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.